heading na. Okay. Okay, so I'll share my screen first.
Yes.
Okay, we're loud and clear. We're good?
Yes.
Okay, so wait. I have to take a few seconds. Na-pressure ako sa expectations niya eh.
Mataas na expectations para sa mataas na standard na tao.
Kaya nga eh.
Oh.
Yes!
Yeah. Magis.
Okay. So first, before I start with the actual topic, I want everyone to be open because I'll ask some questions a bit later on to the audience. So mga 1 or 2 people lang naman. It's just 2 questions and it's very general. So I hope you guys participate. Second, your expectations to be inspired. I can't promise you that. Some of these things might be too much to take in. But what I can promise to you guys is that I'll be very, very honest with you guys and I'll be very real. And hopefully, through that honesty, you guys will become motivated or inspired. And every time I ask a question, you can just thumbs up. So I just know you guys are there. We're good? All right. Okay. So last thing, I want you guys to get into a certain mindset before I start on my topic. So I know you guys have been listening to different talks lately, and I'm sure they were all great and they're all right. Let's put it at that. And so I'm sure you guys have learned possibly really similar concepts, but at the same time, possibly also very contradicting concepts. So what I want you guys to realize is the world isn't black and white. So what I want you guys to do is to put all of these learnings in a basket and kung ano man yung pinaka-appropriate na tingin nyo sa situation na yun yung gawin ninyo. Okay guys, so nothing is absolute. That's all I want to say before I start. We good? Okay, good. Oh man, okay, now we have to start. Okay, so let's start. Today, I'll be talking about and answering the question, what does it take? Kumbaga, ano yung winning formula, kung ano yung steps, and what I believe are the things you need to succeed. And maybe so define somewhat the definition of success for me later on. Before we start, of course, kayo muna ang bibiktimahin ko sa aking talk before myself. So, I will ask you guys first. 3 things. Give me 3 things na ano tingin ninyo. The values you need to succeed would be patience, discipline, sacrifice. There's no wrong answer, guys. So I hope you guys participate. And I'll just call on someone randomly. So 1, 2, 3. And who's this? Let me call on... Oh my gosh, hindi lumalabas yung pangalan niya. Let me call on... Oh my gosh, I can't see your names. Okay. Kyra, can you see their names? Can you call someone for me?
All right. Wait a second. Kukunin ko yung how about ito una. Okay guys, unang scroll ko to ha. Chio Marasigan. Unang scroll ko to after sa taas. Okay, go Chio.
Hello. Ano ganiin?
Things.
Don't be shy. It's okay. I'm shyer right now.
Can you repeat the kung ano ang i-share?
Hindi na, next na pala. Next ano na? Next participant na. Joke lang.
Nasubuan ako.
What are the 3 things you think is your winning formula? So ano yung 3 values mo na tingin mo helps you succeed?
First for me is determination. The next one is confidence. Tapos the last one would be trust.
Wow.
Okay, para strong finish and strong end.
That's actually really good, and well articulated, mind you. Next one. One more.
Raffle pa rin ba to?
Yes,
Raffle.
of course. You have to go random.
Raffle.
Okay, say stop. Kasi I'm doing up and down a scroll.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Two,
Stop.
three, stop. Jean Torrefranca. Jean ba? Or Jean? Or Jean? Ay, joke.
Wow.
Jean, are you there? Jean, going once,
Uy, nako. Huwag kayo.
going twice.
Drop nyo ang opportunity, guys. Ito na, oh.
Sige, ulit na lang.
Okay,
Sige,
ulit.
go Bea. Say stop again. I'm scrolling.
Stop.
Okay, we have L. Jacqueline Butaslak. L, is you there? Knock, knock.
It's there.
For me po, the week 3, right? Okay. 3 winning formulas for me po is the passion, your courage to success, and determination to succeed.
That's good. Passion, I super believe in that. If you guys have seen me play, I'm very, very passionate and intense. So thank you guys for your answers. Okay, so, oh man. Okay, now it's really my part. Okay, game. So I'll start with my cuento and answer the question, what does it take? For me, it takes 3 things. The very first one, for me, it takes 1, love. Sometimes that's not enough. And before I see reactions, let me explain later on. Second is grit. And when you put those things together, it sounds like it's pretty big and pretty enough. But for me, you always have to go another level. So third is something bigger. You have to have something bigger. Let me break down these things. So first, love. Love was encapsulated for me in a saying. If you guys have you guys ever had those retreats where at the back of the paper, meron parang cheesy quote, right? So I saw this in one of the recollections in Ateneo, and they make you do that alone time, whatever. And then I saw it at the back, and I saw the last line, and sabi ko, uy, nice, parang, ooh, cheesy. But it means so much more. So I Googled it, and it's by Father Arupe, one of the Jesuits in Ateneo. So I'll read it for you guys. It says, nothing is more practical than finding God, than falling in love in a quite absolute way. What you are in love with, what seizes your imagination will affect everything. It will decide what will get you out of bed in the mornings, what you'll do with the evenings, how you spend your weekends, what you read, whom you know, what breaks your heart, and what amazes you with joy and gratitude. Fall in love, stay in love, and it will decide everything. It's a pretty straightforward quote for me, but I want you guys to focus mainly on the last line, which says, fall in love, stay in love, and it will decide everything. Again, before your cheesy reactions, please allow me to explain. We'll break it into parts again. So first, falling in love. Falling in love for me is the easiest part. For some people, it's the first time they hold the ball. Of course, we're putting it in the context of sports, ha? Okay, so, na-lost tuloy ako. Again, it's easy. For some people, it's the first time they hold the ball. It's the first time they spike. The first time they score. For some people, it takes time. But regardless, falling in love must be easy. And yes, fine, that will apply in every aspect of whatever love you can apply to. Anyway, for me, I fell in love with the adrenaline, the competition, the intensity of the whole thing. Because stepping on that court for me allowed me to be 100% me. If you guys have seen me play, I'm very intense, very passionate. And it's the only place where I'm able to do it fully. Kasi syempre, imagine nyo naman, diba, like, if you're in an org and then you scream like that and I thump my chest pa. So parang it's kind of weird, right? But it's nice that I get to have that outlet on court where it's even encouraged, and better that I get to share it pa with my teammates. Sometimes even, fun fact, sometimes, actually not sometimes, every time I still see a highlight reel, championship points, highlight videos, I still shed a tear kasi ganun ko siya kamahal. Ganun ko ka-love yung sports and the energy that it gives you and just what it stands for, honestly. But again, that's the easy part. We go to the second part. Do you see that? That's Danny Ravenna. The second part is staying in love. Now, this is where it gets pretty tough. I'll share with you guys the routine we had with Coach O. So, yung routine namin nun, from 6 to 11, well, 6 to 10, would be morning training. So that would either be weights, takbo, tapos may basic ball from serving to digging, and then sometimes may overload pa yun. So sometimes mag-extend kami hanggang 11. And then people go to class, tapos magpapa-call time ulit siya at 3:30. So imagine yung konti nun, mag-lunch ka lang, may class ka, tapos 3:30 call time mo na. By 3:30, andun ka na sa gym, mag-film viewing kami, mag-training kami. After training, minsan may film viewing ulit, minsan may team dinner, minsan may sobrang habang huddle. Buti na lang wala si Coach O kasi bubukin ko siya dito. But anyway, sometimes we're together, sometimes may ice bath pa yun minsan. So sometimes we're together until 10. 3:30 hanggang 10. Imagine mo yun. And at this time, I was nursing an injury. So the hard part for me was, after morning training, sabihin ko, okay, nice, nag-survive ako. Pero iisipin ko rin, kailangan ko na naman siya gawin a few hours later. Kasi in my break, I have to eat lunch, I go to therapy, and sometimes I even have to do extra weights just to make sure that my muscles surrounding my knees are better and it won't hurt as much. After evening training, sabihin ko ulit, nice one, I survived. Pero after nun, I have to think again, I have to do it again tomorrow. I have to endure that pain again tomorrow. And the day after that, a month from now, a week from now. And that was really tough because my injury was so painful that I couldn't even go down the stairs without feeling pain. I couldn't even bend down if, let's say, I dropped something. I couldn't even bend down without feeling pain. And again, my position was a middle. So part of it was I had to jump every single time the ball was set, regardless if it was to me or my teammate. I had to go back and forth to block. And I didn't know what to do because I go to training and you have to improve. And the only way you get to improve is by doing it, by training. So hindi ko naman pwede sabihin kay coach na, coach, sobrang sakit, pwede bang pause muna ako or pwede bang hindi ko na lang gawin? You can't because you're also a senior. And of course, you want to be able to give it your all because you want to win. Diba? So when all of these things come into play, that's where the second part comes in. And when you start asking these questions, how do you stay motivated? Sometimes even ask, saan ako nagkulang? We're sometimes even ask, worth it pa ba? And we've asked that even down the road, pa-finals na. Tatanayin mo pa ba, worth it pa ba to, lahat ng pagod, with no guarantee that you're gonna win the championship. In fact, you have more chances of losing than winning the championship. And we had one last chance. Well, I did and my batchmates did. We had one last chance to do that. And we were questioning ourselves towards the finals, worth it pa ba to? Sa sobrang pagod namin, worth it pa ba to lahat? Kasi it's not just physical stress, it's mental, it's emotional. There's so much drama involved sometimes. And it gets really tiring. So again, when all of those come in, I think the better question is, paano na, diba? So ano na? Parang I dropped so many things with you guys. Maybe the main question is, paano na? Ano nang gagawin natin with that information? Well, that's where the second thing comes in, which is grit. For me, that's the second thing you need. And To define grit, again, medyo ipapasa ko muna sa inyo, pero to define grit, I think it's best answered when I answer the question, what's the hardest part about being a student athlete? So ipapasa ko muna sa inyo to, just one thing. What do you think for you guys is the hardest part about being a student athlete? Kyra, please do your magic, again.
All right. Sige. Say stop.
Stop.
We have Nikki Mendoza, one of our very active participants here at Project K. Hi, Nikki.
Hello. What's the hardest part about being a student athlete is that balancing your academics and training kasi it's very grueling and not easy to do. Even, yun lang.
Mahirap nga yun. Next.
All right, thank you, Nikki. Okay. Say stop again.
Stop.
We have Maria Beatriz. I can't see your last name, but that is the only Maria Beatriz, I assume, here. Are you here? Maria Beatriz Mendoza din.
Hi. Uh, so I think it's the hardest part about being a student athlete is time management. It's
It's
time
what?
management. Time management ko.
Yeah.
Because of course we wake up early for classes and we end our day with trainings at a really late. It's really late, so yun. Making our assignments and our projects is like really hard to do now. Kasi we go home late and we're actually retired na. Kasi time management.
Yeah, actually, that is one of the hardest parts about being a student athlete. It gets really tough. But I'll share with you guys my experience on the hardest part about being a student athlete. Well, for me, it was never about failing. For some, it might be that. As you guys can see, these were my grades, second year ako. And that was the first time I tried to aim for a dean's list kasi medyo naka-adjust na ako. But if you guys can see, that darn subject that says Introduction to Mathematical Economics says an F. And that's the first time I ever failed academically. And that took a while for me to accept, given my competitive attitude and my pride. I failed the class. And that was very hard. But that wasn't the hardest part. It was also never about losing. If you guys could see this and imagine the feeling of seeing this after natalo kayo, I mean, look at how Lasal was celebrating and then look at us. We just look so kawawa. And look at this picture of me where I look so freaking ugly crying in front of 20,000 people in Araneta because we lost the championship this year. But that was never the hardest part for me. It was never even about the sacrifices that we had to make. This is me in my cousin's wedding arriving. It was his wedding and I had training and I couldn't skip. It was a good thing that it was very small wedding in our house. So nakahabol naman ako, but I couldn't kasi that was season na. I couldn't skip training. And buti na lang, Coach O kind of gave me a pass of leaving a bit early na lang. But imagine, I arrived in my cousin's wedding dressed like that when everybody was dressed formally. But it was never about that. It was never about those sacrifices where, and you get so jealous, it gets so tough because you see your friends, the people you grew up with, having fun with all of their time in the world, getting to go to the beach whenever they want. You know, after class, they go somewhere else to chill or whatever. But I couldn't do that. But honestly, that wasn't the hardest part for me. The hardest part about being a student athlete for me was that it required the best from you every day. This is really tough. Because you can't go to training kahit ano pa nangyari sa'yo. Kahit, let's say, nakipag-break yung boyfriend mo on the same day. Even if you failed class, even if you failed the test that same day, even if you're sad, you're going through something, you can't show up to training and say, Coach, I'm not 100% because I'm sad. You can't tell your prof, Sir, Okay lang ba next week na ako mag-submit kasi medyo nakipag-break ako? You can't. But these are realities of life and these are things that actually happen. I do have teammates na pupunta sa training umiiyak kasi nag-away lang sila. But again, you can't go to training saying you can't, saying that you're just 90%. You can't even say you're 99%. Because the minute you sacrifice 1 point, the minute you sacrifice doing your job, it can cost your team a season. 1 game can cost a season. 1 point can cost you a championship, which is your dream. So it can cost you as big as that. And in my own experience, a few points while not studying for a test, thinking that you got that, got me to fail a class. So that for me was the hard part. The hardest part about being a student athlete, that it required the best from you every day. And sometimes, and don't take that the wrong way, of course, hindi naman lagi na excellent ka and you're extraordinary every day. That's not what I'm trying to say. Sometimes it is enough for you guys to show up to training and just be there. But you have, knowing that we're talking about grit, of course, you'll have to limit these days, di ba? Na mag-show up ka lang sa training. Though sometimes, again, yeah, it's okay for you to just get out of bed kasi ganun na talaga kahirap every time. But unfortunately, despite all of these things, the lesson is life will go on, di ba? Sadly, life goes on and that's life. Kahit ano pang pinagdadaanan mo, the world don't stop. And you'll have to keep going and you'll have to keep pushing. But again, we're talking about grit. So when all of these things come together, fatigue, drama, stress, defeat, all of it, when all of it comes together, it should not only be able to get you through it, it will make you better because of it. And that's what grit is about. Regardless of the things happening to you, use those things to make you yourself, your skills, your attitude, you use it for your own good and make yourself better. Now, love and grit, we've covered it. And at this point, what I've made you guys kwento, parang ang heavy na. Diba? Parang ang dami na nun, may losing na, may defeat na. And and you guys saw I still have a third point. Kasi now you kind of have to ask, what will make you any different? Sa totoo lang, anybody could fall in love with something. Anybody can stick with it. Anybody could have the discipline and determination to have grit and to keep going and not give up. What will make you different? What will make you different from others that will define mainly your success as a person? Well, for me, the third is, again, have something bigger. And for me, having something bigger means seeking God. And I understand, of course, that we may have different religions, but put it in your context or in your concept of something bigger. But for me, it's seeking God in the things I do. How do I do that? I do that by always asking myself, is this where He wants me to be? Is this where I can be the best version of myself? And as cheesy as it sounds, I ask, is this where I can affect positive change among people? And for me, every time you step on that court, when you do this and you have something bigger, once you step on that court and you know that you're playing for something so much bigger than yourself, you cannot fail. Once you step on that court and know that you are there not only because of you, but because of every single person whose blood, sweat, and tears got you there, when you know that you're playing there because and for Him, you cannot fail. Why? Because that way you have brought praise, you have brought honor to every single person who has helped you get where you are. Kumbaga, you did it justice, you did everybody's hard work justice. And everything you do has purpose. So di lang yan championship. It could mean inspiring a whole generation of people by being His instrument, because you are where you have to be and you are the best version of yourself. And for me, isn't that the biggest privilege and biggest success you could ever have? by being his instrument. Doing this kasi, for me, allows you to be sincere. It allows you to be humble, allows you to be grounded. And people see that. Believe me, when you're honest with your work, people will see that. And everything you do has meaning. Everything you do has purpose. Kasi diba, so what if you love sports? So what again if you have the grit? Let's be real, a few years later, kahit champion ka pa, kahit sino ka pa, some people might actually not remember you. Years go by and people will forget what happened. People will forget season 81. People won't remember, hey, that's Bea De Leon. Diba? Parang, I mean, it really comes with it. You know, the fame, the fortune, they're pretty big, but they're not the biggest thing. It doesn't mean much. But because of your sincerity, your honesty, and your passion towards what you're doing, because of your sole purpose to become an instrument, the people whom you've touched, the people whom you've helped succeed, the people whom you've helped find God, or basically just find something bigger, these people, honestly, won't forget you. And being an instrument for something bigger, it doesn't have to be a lot. It doesn't have to be drastic. It doesn't have to be getting them out of the biggest problem in the world. But it could be as simple as helping someone finish the runs, as we usually do with Miss Danny Ravenna. It doesn't have, it could be as simple as helping them receive better. It could be as simple as helping them communicate better. But that's the point, diba? Through this kasi, tinaas mo na yung tao eh. Tinaas mo siya with what you guys were doing. That regardless of your differences, regardless of your race, regardless of what teams you're playing for, or the position you're competing for, I think at the end of the day, as what your advocacy says, we're all magkakalaro, magkakaibigan, magkakasama, at magkakwentuhan. So let's go back to the question. What does it take? Well, as you guys can see, I said a lot of things. And it's not easy. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. It's not easy. It takes a whole lot. Sabi sa inyo guys, baka hindi kayo ma-inspire. Because it's pretty, I think I said pretty real things that might take a while to digest. But the sooner we accept these things, the reality of all, I think the sooner we'll be able to rise to the occasion. And honestly, if you guys are able to do these things and mix it with other couple of stuff, I think it's a good way to start and a good promise to give to you guys that you may just have something that you will cherish forever and will hold to your heart forever and cherish every moment of your life, because you may just have something like this.
Welcome to the finals, where champions are made and stars are born.
God gives it back to Ravenna. Ravenna gets it in the air. This could be it. Almost there. Julie Sommer. Maybe he will win. Unreal. It's once again champions of UAP women's volleyball.
Well, yun. I think one day, hopefully, you guys have something like that. And to me, till today, that is the single best day of my life, because I got to say that we did that, and I took a very big part in it. And because of our hard work, our grit, our love, our passion, and our purpose of having something bigger, because we knew that we didn't just play for each other, but we played for the school, for the people who supported us. We played for ourselves even, but you know, that to me will be the greatest success I will have for a very big part of my life. And that for me was a defining moment, and I hope you guys have it as well. And I hope you guys I hope you guys enjoy what I shared today. So thank you guys, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
Hey! Oh my God. Thank you, Ate. Grabe! Actually, yung nakita ko nung last slide niyo po, Ate Bay, I I remember that time, nasa dorm ako ng friend ko, and we're watching that finals, yung championship niyo po. Grabe yung sigaw namin ng kaibigan ko na muntikan na kami pagalitan ng mga ka-dormmates niya doon kasi grabe yung intensity ng game. Tapos yung balahibo ko tumataas pa rin habang pinapakita, napapanood ko pa rin yan. And actually, Ate Bay, nakaka-relate ako dun sa nakakapunta ka sa occasion na naka-jersey ka. Yung parang pawis ka pa, parang kakayin mo lang sa games. Tapos, ano nangyari? Tapos picture na, tapos ikaw lang naka-jersey, tapos sila ang ganda, ang nakaayos. Actually, nakaka-relate ako sa ganun. And yung grit, yung mapapa-question ka, yung I just felt that kahit down ka na sa classes mo, then kailangan mo pa rin pumunta sa court, you need to do your best. Example, ikaw, as the team captain, you need at your best still sa practices and all. Huwag mong ipapakita yung, okay, you had a bad day in your classes. Pero paminsan talaga, di mo maiwasan yan nati-triggered. Pero as much as possible, you need to control it para makafocus ka sa training. And yun lang talaga. Actually, napapaisip ako sa mga questions kasi as of now, ngayon, na quarantine, I don't know if andun pa rin. Kasi walang training. I don't know if andun pa rin yung galaw ko, andun pa rin ba yung dedication ko in trainings, andun pa rin ba yung puso ko. But I always believe in myself na andun pa rin. Nire-remind ko sarili ko, andun pa rin. At andun pa rin yung mga teammates ko, yung communication with your teammates as well, nakaka-strengthen din at nakakapag-motivate rin sa'yo to keep going. Continue what you do. On trainings man yan, in communicating man yan. Kasi mahirap na ngayon but you're looking many ways. If may bola ka man, training ka, ganun. Andun pa rin mararamdaman mo yan. Pero actually ngayon, napapaisip ako sa mga questions at ang dami ko pong nasulat. Yun lang po yung masasabi ko. At Kabarkada Kai, anything.
Before I share, I think Kabarkada Jed has something to share also.
All right. So, first of all, Ate Bea, thank you for that very, very meaningful, heartfelt talk. Kasi like what you said kanina, it's not gonna be like the other talks na medyo inspiring. Like, siguro for you, you think it's that way. Pero on the other side of all the glam, diba? All the TV appearances, all the picture taking, all that, diba? It's the reality that we all need to see. Diba? Behind the hard work of the athletes, behind all the things that you see on TV, it's not always like that. There's always something behind it that creates these champions, diba? And that's what a lot of us here and those watching us live on Facebook needs to realize, that it's not easy for these people, for these champions to reach where they are now. Diba? So it takes a lot of mentoring, a lot of training, a lot of discipline and sacrifice. And yun, I think that's what I can take away from your talk today. It's the reality that the student athletes go to, which makes them great, which makes them the way they are now. So actually, yun lang naman. No? So thank you so much for, kaya nga, very, very insightful. No? A little look into how champions are made, how they are really made, not how they're romanticized, but how they are really made, diba, in the workshop. So thank you, Ate Bea, for that.
Okay. Thank you, Kabarkada Jed. So, when I was listening to your talk, actually, nawalan kami ng kuryente. but thankfully, may backup lang kami na parang generator for like 10 minutes and then now bumalik naman. So, this is my new setup. But anyway, kanina when I was scrambling, but at the same time listening, hawak-hawak ko yung laptop, one thing that caught my attention again, like parang nagbias of attention ko to your talk, was about influence and yung mapapalitan tayo and makakalimutan din tayo in a few years. Actually, parati yung inuulit ni Coach Nolly, as you know him, na always yung sinasabi, lahat tayo hihina, lahat tayo mapapagod, lahat din tayo mapapalitan. So when you said influence, I think we should emphasize that, because when you start to influence, that's when you can pass on change. That's when you can pass on your legacy. Kahit na hindi nga legacy, it's just you trying to make a change in the world. And I think, hindi ko alam kung this is an Ateneo thing. Ateneo, sabi ni Ate Siege from our previous talk. But you, si Selena, your good friend, Selena De Dios, Attorney Lopa, and Harvey were our Atenean speakers for Project K. And you guys have a very common parang idea of it all. And it's about having a good habit and attitude and making that a viral thing na parang even if you don't try to influence others, but if they see it in you that you have this passion, yung love, grit nga, then it's very viral kasi you guys have the passion together as a team. And it's a good thing that you really talked about that. And you shouldn't worry about your talk anymore kasi it was really good. So congratulations.
Oo, yes!
Thank
Guys,
you.
palakpakan natin si Ate Bea dahil na-survive niya po ang kanyang talk. Kung alam niyo lang po, pinagpraktisan niya po talaga ang talk niya for this afternoon. Well, actually, ito, ngayon tapos na. Tanong yan sa Ate Bea. Kamusta ka po? Kamusta ka?
I'm relieved now.
Yay!
That's better. Thank you.
Actually, may nakuha po talaga kami. And, yun lang, I will always remember this, what you said. It required the best from everyone. Because it's kahit ayaw mo, not just in sports, every day in life, pagising mo ng early, online class, kahit gusto mo pang matulog, gigising ka pa rin para andun ka sa klase. Or kahit kasama mo yung family mo, mag-bonding kayo. Kasi actually as being an athlete, yun yung nakukulangan. Tapos ngayon may time na tayo to be with our families. So, this is our time to be at our best, to give our time for our families as well. Yung mga na-miss out natin, ito na yung tamang oras na yun. So, thank you. Kabarkada Ira, may iba pang parang, lection. Napunta kay Kabarkada Ira.
Oo, yun. Parang hindi ko in-expect.
Oo.
Pero, feel ko kasi, since, kung fan ka talaga, tapos yung idol mo nag-speak, like, kahit ano sabihin niya, para sa'yo inspiring. Ganyan, good. Parang ganun yung na-feel ko. Tapos, sa mga hardships mo, Ate Bea, okay lang yan. Ang masasabi ko lang, a diamond is a chunk of coal that really did well under pressure. Ganun lang. So, diamond ka na ngayon, Ate Bea. You really did well. And
Universe talaga.
sana,
Iba talaga, no?
ganon.
May ganun talaga siya, diamond eh. Iba talaga yung diamond. Grabe ka, ay. Thank you, Ira. Pero guys, ito nga, actually, I hope you had got a lot of things from insights through Ate Bea. And alam kong naka-ready na ang inyong mga notebooks yan. At alam kong may mga nakasulat kayo dyan. Pero bago yun, syempre, mag-konting stretch muna tayo. Kasi gusto kong ma-relax kayo at syempre, ma-contemplate nyo talaga yung mga natutunan nyo dito at kung ano yung nakuha nyong inspiration sa talk ni Ate Bea. Kaya, magko-commercial break muna tayo. Medyo lang, highlights muna. Ipapakita natin ang highlights ng Mindanao Peace Games at magbabalik tayo at pagbalik natin, magkakaroon na tayo ng sharing kasi syempre, ito na hinihintay ni Ate Bea, ang inyong mga kwento rin, kung ano yung baka nakarelate kayo. Wag lang yung sa love, yung sinasabi ni Ate Bea kanina, okay? O ngayon, Ate Bea, may chance ka nang magtanong sa kanila, anong love? Baka iba yung iniisip yung love, okay? So yon, may pagkakataon na si Ate Bea. Kaya magbabalik tayo, guys! In 3, 2, 1, magbabalik po ang Project KKK.
Ang Pilipinas ay very unique because number one, we are a nation of different cultures, different religious beliefs, different ideologies. We are a nation of differences. Through the Mindanao Peace Games, sobrang masaya-masaya ako noon yung sa nangyayari dahil alam niyo naman of course ang ating gaya na ating presidente na isulong ang kapayapaan. Ay natutuwa ako dahil nandito ang mga future sports stars ng Pilipinas na nagkakasama-sama.